Hi guys, it's Bria and welcome to my channel. So I'm kind of just lounging today in my bed because it's gonna be more of a story time video today and I want to be comfortable. Yeah, so this video is gonna be a little bit different than the ones prior to it. I am going to be starting a series. This is going to be part one of a series called Getting to Know Me. And I'm going to be talking about the instances and events that happened in my life that have brought me to this point where I am traveling and doing seasonal work. So most of the content of this channel is going to be about traveling and seasonal work. And I wanted to kind of, I guess, like, kill two birds with one stone, if you will, because I want you guys to know more about me, but I also want you to know how I got to this point in my life, because I did not grow up wanting to travel. I did not travel as a kid. We could not afford that. Like, I spent most of my summers at home watching HGTV. Like, I know about some wainscoting. I know what I want as far as a home is concerned because of watching HGTV growing up. Yeah, so I'm hoping to kind of not only shed light on how I got to this point in my life, but also maybe some of you out there will be able to relate to some of the things that I'll be talking about. Maybe it'll inspire some of you who are currently trying to think of how you can afford to travel. And then hopefully you'll have a greater understanding of me at the end of this series. So part one, this video, is the time I studied abroad in London. So in high school, my main thing, my shtick, if you will, was theater. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to sing. I was in choir. I was always trying to, emphasis on trying to, audition for plays and musicals, to be more specific, musicals. I love singing, I loved acting, and if I could mix the two, I wanted to. So I wanted to do musicals. The problem was I wasn't the best at auditioning, mostly because I lacked the self-confidence. I was very much that almost that stereotypical, like, overweight girl in high school. I wanted to be on the stage, and to be honest, without sounding cocky, I could act, I could sing, I could dance, but I would psych myself out during auditions. Unfortunately, I was stuck comparing myself to other people, especially when you're in the world of theater and you're auditioning and hearing everyone else before you audition and seeing people in, you know, the waiting room kind of practicing and stuff. It's really easy to get caught up in comparing yourself, and so I struggle with that. And then coming out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, to be honest. Part of me didn't want to go to college, but I didn't know how to vocalize that. And I also know I didn't want to stay at home. So I was just like, okay, well, if I don't go to college, to me, the only other thing would be to just stay at home. Like, I was like, okay, it's either college or stay at home. And unfortunately, you know, it put me in a position where going to college was really my only option, because I didn't want to stay at home. I have kind of a difficult home life, to be honest. And so I didn't want to stay at home. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll go to college. And mind you, I graduated high school in 2013. That's still in the time where people were really pushing college. Like, college was still really being pushed. We weren't really talking about alternatives. I was like, okay, I guess I'll go to college. And then I thought, okay, the only thing I can think of that I could even go to college for is theater. And so, you know, I ended up going to college to do theater, which I have thoughts about at this point in my life. I don't think anybody needs to go to college for theater, let alone a 4-year private university like your girl went to. Like, oh. But I didn't really have anyone in my life to kind of tell me that it was okay not to go to college. I didn't really have anyone to steer me away from that choice. And so I ended up going to Southwestern University in Georgetown, Texas, which was up near Austin. It was far enough away from Beaumont that, you know, I could have that independence, but it was also close enough so that if I wanted to go home for the holidays, I could do that. So fast forward, college. You know, college was difficult, like, for most people, not just because of academics, but also because my insecurities and my lack of self-confidence kind of like got worse. I feel like I really got good at hiding it though in college. I got good at kind of trying, like, kind of morphing who I was and what I believed in order to like better fit in with different groups. But it just caused me to be really unsure of who I was as a person. And so theater, I mean, I developed kind of like panic attacks, if you will, because auditioning in college is so much different than in high school. I mean, in college, theater majors were really good. And so I was even more so, you know, lacking self-confidence, even more, like really having a hard time comparing myself to other people and just feeling like I was coming up short. Also, what's really important for me to mention is that not only was I still struggling with being overweight, and in college being one of the only overweight people, actually, I was also the only Black female in the department, in the theater department in college. So there was a lot of issues I was facing with doing theater in that particular college. And so I was often surrounded by people that I really just wouldn't really hang around now. And then I was just not the best person back then, because, you know, a lot of my low self-esteem came from being overweight. And so I was like media teaches us, if you're not, you know, skinny and pretty, then you have to be funny as a fat person to be liked. And so I kind of took on that like stereotypical like fat friend role of being like fat and like trying to be funny, but it just came out as like mean and like sarcastic, which is like, ugh. But anyway, I digress. So college was difficult is the short answer. But I remember sophomore year, a lot of my friends were in, like the friends I had in theater, were talking about wanting to study abroad. And my university partnered with this study abroad program, which had a theater emphasis for that semester. So that semester they were doing theater in London. So most of the curriculum was about theater. And this was, the study abroad program was going to be fall of 2015, and we were talking about signing up to do, you know, signing up to do this in spring of 2015. So in the spring, they were looking for people to go ahead and sign up to, you know, register for it in advance for fall of 2015. I, at that point, still didn't have any desire to travel. I had never been on a plane at that point. I had never been outside of the country. But my friends were like, yeah, we're going to do this. And so I'm just like, me and my low self-esteem having self was like, I'll go too. Like, it was literally like, follow the leader. Oh, you guys are going to go? That sounds fun. I want to go too. That was it. That's why I signed up to study abroad, because my friends were going. Yeah, so I was in, like I was going to all the meetings. I officially registered and signed up, and my mom was like, you going where? Because up until this point, my family really didn't travel. We didn't go anywhere. So me being like, hey mom, I'm going to study abroad in London, and she was just like, okay. And so fast forward, it's summertime. I stayed with my uncle in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I worked at Academy Sports and Outdoors on the Airline Highway. I wanted to save money for when I went abroad, because the program only gave you 250 pounds a month to help you pay for transportation, yada yada yada. But everything else, like your airfare, personal items you had to pay for, those had to be paid for by yourself. And so I had to save up money because I didn't come from money. None of my parents had money, and so if I wanted to have spending money, I had to earn it myself. So working retail for that summer was an experience, to say the least. It did not net me a whole lot of money. Mind you, I had to buy a passport because I didn't have one prior to that year. I had to buy an airline ticket. Thankfully, my uncle paid for that because I ain't had that kind of monies. And so by the time August 2015 rolls around and I'm getting ready to fly out of the country for the first time, I mean, fresh, never been to an airport, nothing. It was all new to me. So I remember, and this is just to tell you how, like, I just did not have enough money going to London. Like, looking back on it, I'm surprised I didn't feel more stressed. And I think it's because I thought I had a good amount of money. And I know now, after traveling more, that I just didn't. So I think I went to London in fall of 2015 with $600 or $700 in my pocket. USD, mind you. That's not even accounting for the conversion. And the conversion into pounds or euros is not in our favor. And so I think $600-$700 USD was probably like $450, $500, which, to say I was going for a whole semester, wasn't really enough. I definitely remember, like, when you do something like study abroad, most of the time you have to have a visa of some sort, like a study visa. And part of the, like, there were some required things you had to do for your visa, and one of the things was you had to show that you had X amount of money in your account. And I've seen people talk about this when they talked about maybe like their working holiday visas and stuff, how they want to make sure that you have enough money to like live, you know, in that country for however long that you're supposed to live there for. And so I don't remember however much I was supposed to have upon entry into the UK, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it wasn't $600-$700 or $450-$500 pounds. It was not that low. It was a lot more than that, I'm sure, and I did not have that money, and I knew that I wasn't gonna be able to get that money. And so what happened was, a couple of weeks before, like probably like 2 weeks before I was set to fly to London, my grandmother got paid. And she put her paycheck, all of her paycheck, into my account. We went to Wells Fargo and we got them to print out a statement saying that this is how much money is in this account on the letterhead, all official, yeah. Right after they did that, we went back to the teller, pulled out my grandmother's money, and that was that. So like I had like the proof that I had enough money to enter the country based on the rules of the student visa at the time. But then they didn't even check it. Like, and this is something that I've heard before when it comes to visas that require some sort of statement, bank statement, to say that you have X amount of money. I've heard that in some cases, like, you'll get to like the border patrol or whatever and they won't ask for it. But of course, people say, and they're right, that you still should have that stuff, because if you don't and they ask for it, they can send your butt back. So, but I was mad he didn't ask for it. But he was also a really nice man. So, that is why I quickly ran out of money in London, because I was young. I went to London when I was in my 20s. I was actually just 20 when I went to London, and I was spending money like I actually had it to spend. And it was sad, because I think going to London to some degree exacerbated my low self-esteem and my like comparison issue because I was with a lot of kids that, at least to me, seemed like they had more money than I did. Like they were going to Paris for the weekend and going to Norway. And while I genuinely had a great time in London, and to be honest, until that point in my life, up until that point in my life, I think that that was like the best thing that had happened to me. I think that for a while, even years after that, that was the best thing that had ever happened to me. And I fully enjoyed that experience, but I was also fully aware of the financial gap between me and some of my other classmates. A lot of times I was trying to make up excuses as to why I couldn't go out and do X, Y, and Z, because I was like, I really just didn't have the money. And I think if I had real friends back then that I feel like I could trust, I would have been able to be honest. Now, I'll say this. I had one good friend with me. She was the only other black woman in the study abroad program. And I don't know if I can remember telling her really how bad my financial situation was, but I certainly feel like I could have. But I think at that point it was a pride thing and more of like I was embarrassed type of situation, because I feel like I could have told her and she would have understood. Because I talked to her today. She's great. What's up, Deidre? if you're watching this video. But because I had a lot of like superficial friends. When I say I had superficial friends, I don't mean at all that they were superficial like people. I mean that the level at which I knew them and felt comfortable with them was at a very superficial level. And so when you only know people at a very superficial level, you don't feel comfortable talking to them about personal things, really. That's what I really mean by that. I really didn't feel like I could be honest and tell them that, hey, I'm running out of money. So I think I ran out of money like mid-October. I think it was mid-October I ran out of money. So I got to London mid-August. We weren't leaving until mid-December, and I for sure ran out of money mid-October. And I mean, it wasn't, if I was being more diligent with that money, I probably could have made it last longer. But I mean, there was no holding me back. Your girl was spending money left and right. On what? God knows. Like, only God knows, because I don't know. I think I didn't pay attention to the conversion. So I'm like swiping my card at a place where they're saying, oh, this is going to be 70 pounds. And in my head, I'm still thinking $70. And then not only is it getting converted by my bank, but they're charging me a fee for that conversion. Again, me not paying attention. And so quickly my money was just flying away. I remember it being so bad, like in October when I finally ran out of money, I was fully depending on my 250 pound allowance from the program. That was supposed to help me with transportation, because one of my classes, I had a British Life and Culture class, and we, like every week we would meet the professor at some place in London to talk about history. And I don't know. It was just like people, I remember one time I didn't have the money to top up my Oyster card. And that's the transportation card that works for like the buses and the tube. And I remember my friend helping me with that because I literally didn't have money to top up my Oyster card to go back home from class one day. I mean, it had gotten so bad to the point where I remember like I went to a Tesco down the street and had tried to buy groceries with a card I knew didn't have no monies on it. Like, I was just hoping it was gonna work. It didn't work. And I remember being kind of embarrassed because I chose to self-checkout just in case it wouldn't work, and it didn't, and so I had to leave like all the stuff at the self-checkout. That's something. And then like I remember this actually did work, thankfully. I think I was at the St. Pancras station, and I was trying to get money out of one of the ATMs, And I remember using one of my bank cards. Like, I didn't have any credit cards with me. I mean, I'm kind of thankful that I didn't, because I would have racked up on that. I tried to pull money out of an ATM in the train station from my debit card, and thankfully it worked, even though there was no money on there. And believe me, I still didn't pay back. I think that was Wells Fargo at the time. Wells Fargo. I did not pay that back. Like, I think there was like 200 pounds I took out of that account that did not exist. But anyway, so London was fun. School was difficult. I was still struggling with who I was and how I was going to get better at acting while dealing with my low self-esteem, comparison issue, all this stuff. And then I got some really bad news in November. So typically, you know, there's this period of time when it's like time to sign up for classes for the next semester. And I remember going to look at my account and realizing that my student account was on hold. And it was on hold because I owed some money. And I was confused because I thought that everything with my account was good, but little did I know it wasn't. And it's because I wasn't paying attention to my student account. I was like living my best life, or trying to, and I didn't take care to make sure that my account was in good standing. And so by the time I went to sign up for classes, I couldn't. And that's where we're going to stop the story because that's going to be the lead up to the next part of this series, part 2. Basically, part 2 is going to be about how I was unable to continue going to university. Yeah. If you want to hear part 2 of this series and kind of more about the things that have led up to me being here, stay tuned. Like this video if you've liked it. Subscribe if you want to hear more of the series. Subscribe if you want to see my Spain vlogs, because those will be happening as well. I'm not too sure about how many vlogs, but we're gonna have some vlogs definitely from Spain. Yeah. So I really enjoy study abroad, and I would very much encourage people who want to study abroad to do it. I think it's an amazing thing, and I think it really opened my eyes to travel. It's something that really, I feel like jump started my wanderlust, because I feel like from that point forward, I couldn't let go of travel. Like, it was such an amazing experience to me that it changed my dreams and goals to a degree. Like, before I went and studied abroad, I had no dreams to travel. I had no wanderlust, no desire at all to leave the country. And after studying abroad, like, it just changed me. Like, I couldn't let it go, and it wouldn't let go of me either. And I found myself saying to friends, kind of out of like a necessity, like, I knew I had missed out on a lot of stuff and going to a lot of places while I was abroad. And part of my coping mechanism, I guess, was to tell people, oh, I'll be back, I'll come back, or whatever. But part of me, I meant it though, because I was like, this isn't going to end here. I'm not just going to travel here and never go anywhere again. Like, I was already sure when I left that I was going to be back in London. And I mean, I did go back, I mean, for a couple of hours on the way to somewhere else. But I just, like, I had to say that for the sake of my sanity, because I was really jealous of people who were able to go out and experience way more than I was able to in London. But even that being said, that was the seed that was planted that turned into this whole like garden of desire when it came to like travel and stuff. And now, like, I'm literally living a life where all I do is travel. Like, I am living a life that I did not desire to live whatsoever. Like, like that was, I think studying abroad was the first step to where I am now. So yeah, I thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.